I made some red and green salt. So we can visualize a little better what's going on.
Did you attach that too?
What's that? I know, I can't take it out there.
Why not?
Because it would be really, really difficult to do. And then I wouldn't have it back on there again.
Why do you have it on there in the first place?
The tube that's up here
Yeah.
narrows it, so it makes it very, very forceful coming out and a small stream. And so that kind of widens it out.
And so it doesn't like splash up as much?
Yes. All right, so in our red and our green salt here, this shows you, helps you visualize what's going on when we add salt to water, because that's what our Inquiry Lab is about. How does water dissolve salt? Now, we've already discussed some things about water. First of all, what are we creating when we mix these two together? What are we creating, Reem? A solution, very good. Two different solutions. And we already know, we've learned that water is called the universal, very good, universal solvent. Because why? Jerry? Okay, it can dissolve almost anything, can't it? So, there's two parts to a solution, okay? One part does the dissolving. Which one's that? Do you know what the two parts are? The solvent and the solute. So in our solutions here, what's the solvent? Jenna?
The water?
The water, because it does the dissolving. It's the universal solvent, right? Context clues, very good. So the solute, there's actually two different solutes here, aren't there? What is it? Nick?
Salt and blue salt?
Well, but let's just take one at a time. There's two different solutes here. Peyton?
Salt and food coloring?
Salt and food coloring, both. The only reason why it's colored is because I added the food coloring so we can see it a little bit better. But you can see how quickly both the salt and the food coloring dissolve in water. If you need to, you can come up here and look. Some of the salt hasn't quite all dissolved at the bottom because I haven't mixed it, have I? It just fell to the bottom. But the food coloring dissolved right away, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, here is what you are going to do. You're going to design an, yes, Cindy?
Well, isn't sugar like that too? Like,
Does sugar dissolve?
yeah.
It sure does.
Like sometimes like it stays at the bottom. And you have to
Right. You have to wait a little bit or stir it up to dissolve it, yeah? So, what you guys are going to do is, you're going to use the materials up here. You design an experiment to gather more evidence so that you can explain what's going on in your system. Now, you may have more than one system. You'll notice there are 6 squares here. So it depends on how you design your experiment, what your systems are going to be, and how many squares you're going to use, how many pictures you're going to draw, how many models. Okay? Remember to use the terms when you write your explanation. Use the terms that we've discussed in the past. Are there any patterns that you see with something we've talked about before or you've seen before? Are there any real-life, larger scale situations that can be represented with our small system that we are drawing? Okay? Can we relate this to something else that we've seen? And try to come up with the cause of the dissolving process. Again, we have reviewed it, we've discussed it before, the properties of water, and we just reviewed it. So use that information. Use these models, manipulate these models to help you draw your drawings. So each person will turn in one of these. You'll just need one set of molecules, mini molecules, okay? The containers that we'll be using are these tiny little medicine dropper, or medicine cups, thank you. You don't need to use a great deal. Don't fill them to the top because we don't want to just waste it, okay? There's various different liquids that you can use, all right? And if you want to use that as a variable, there's various different types of salt, if you want to use that as a variable. Keep in mind, we've learned that in an investigation, if we are going to truly prove or disprove our hypothesis, we need to control variables, don't we? So, keep that in mind. You're going to design your experiment first, and then come get what you need. All right. What color?